On this story, we can go across to our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, we've said this in the past that Lukashenko is a troublesome, awkward friend for the Russian President Vladimir Putin because he is so unpredictable and he seems to march to the beat of his own drum. So why then does Russia put up with him, so much so that it seems like Russia is rushing to Belarus's defense? We have another Air France flight that has been destined to Moscow that has been scrapped because it wasn't going to fly over Belarus.
Yeah, irritatingly independent, I think, sums up Alexander Lukashenko seen from the perspective of Moscow, but worth putting up with because he's one of Russia's few allies, certainly in the European part of Russia. If you look around the borders, you've got the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, hostile to Russia, Ukraine, hostile to Russia, Moldova, hostile to Russia, Georgia to the south, hostile to Russia, and there's Belarus, a sole ally who thinks ideologically pretty much along the same lines as the leadership in Moscow. Plus, Belarus has a border with Poland, which is part of the European Union. So that is, again, a considerable advantage from the perspective of Moscow. Moscow has a big military presence, not a base, but a big military presence inside Belarus. It's able to move up to that border with NATO. So that is a major consideration, plus the fact that Belarus is also incorporated into the financial, the political and the economic alliances, blocs of Moscow, ensures that Moscow has a pretty firm grip. Occasionally, as we've seen, Lukashenko can act quite independently. It hasn't, for instance, recognized Russia's occupation of Crimea, despite the pressure that's been put on it by Moscow. But by and large, it moves pretty much in line with Moscow. And the sense will be, I suspect, in the Kremlin, that as time goes by, as Lukashenko gets older, that link between Belarus and Russia will only get stronger.
So what are we likely to see firstly happen from this meeting, and what is Putin's message going to be to Lukashenko?
Not a great deal. As you pointed out in your introduction, this was a meeting that was planned from the beginning of May. It's not related directly to the hijacking, although quite clearly the hijacking is going to take precedence in that meeting now. I think the message from Putin will be, look, cool things down a bit. I don't want this to get further out of hand. We will make some gestures towards you of the kind that we've been doing already. For instance, blocking the Air France flight and the and the Austrian Airways flight to Moscow. But how far does Moscow want to go down that line? If Moscow bans all the flights coming from the European Union which avoid Belarus's airspace, then the possibility will certainly emerge that the retaliation will be put in place by the European Union. Aeroflot will be banned from entering into European airspace, and Russia will effectively end up by sanctioning itself. It seems unlikely that Russia is going to go down that route. I think what it's doing at the moment is a gesture of support to Alexander Lukashenko, no more than that. The central message from Moscow will be, look, we want to keep things pretty calm. We've got a summit coming up with the United States. It's the first one between Putin and Biden. Relations between our two countries are at their worst since the collapse of the Soviet Union. We want to see whether there's any room for improving things, and we don't want the summit to be dominated by Belarus. Thank you very much.
Indeed, we'll see what happens out of that meeting in Sochi today. Thank you very much for that, Rob Parsons there.